Hello, everybody. Welcome to May, and may the 4th be with you. It is Friday, May 4th, 2018. My name is Frick, the Tech Guru, and welcome to the Tech Guru podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I had great feedback on my last episode. Over 2,000 listens, either through Facebook or iTunes or YouTube or whatever podcast app you're using. So thank you so much for tuning in and listening to my podcast, and I'm excited to keep this thing going. Just before we get started on episode 3, let's thank this week's sponsor. It is my good friend Joe Caldwell, who is known as Culligan Joe, the Culligan Man. If you are looking for a great water system in your house, either for drinking water or if you're suffering with a hard water problem like many people are on the west side of St. John, please give Joe a call. They offer free water tests. They offer post-installation services. And their systems are definitely more affordable than you think. 0% financing for 24 months, and it's the best bottled water you can buy. Joe dropped off a bunch of bottled water to me this week, and it is fantastic, and it's just very pure, and it's great bottled water. I definitely recommend getting that. And as soon as I get my new house, I am in the market right now, I will be giving Joe a call to get a water system in my house. So give Culligan Joe a call, 506-645-0839 for your free water test. And make sure you let them know that I sent you. So, what a week it has been. We are experiencing insane flooding in my area of the world this week. I don't know if you heard about it. Of course, if you're listening locally, you know what's going on. A lot of New Brunswick, southern New Brunswick specifically, is flooding. Fredericton has gotten the worst of it. And the greater St. John area and my area here in Grand Bay have suffered extreme amounts of flooding. And up until I think yesterday, they were saying it's the worst flood in this area since 1973. But as of today, we have passed that record as far as flood levels. So it's just been insane. As you can see, the pictures I'm showing, if you're watching the podcast, you're seeing pictures of my backyard and my line of defense. We've spent 2 days, roughly 10 hours, constructing a sandbag barrier, a wall, and the water is expected to rise for another couple days. So hopefully my barrier holds strong and the water is not able to penetrate my wall. But I just have to say I'm extremely impressed and I'm humbled by the humanity and the people. Just what they're doing for helping those people in need. They're volunteering their time, their talents, and their trucks. And I've seen great people in my area. A lot of people I've met for the first time. They have no idea who I was, and I just received truckload after truckload of sandbag. And people helped me nonstop get this ready. And then, of course, we turned around and we helped my neighbor and other people in the area. Just get ready for hopefully not a bad flood, and hopefully the water won't enter their homes. So again, I'm extremely impressed with the people around here in Grand Bay and the Maritimes. It just really encompasses what the Maritimes means and helping each other. So thanks again to those people as well. So let's check out tech news, shall we? So this week in the news, I saw this a couple days ago, and it says Facebook is taking on Tinder with the new dating features. Facebook is adding a dating layer to its main mobile app, CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced today during the company's F8 Developer Conference keynote in San Jose, California. The features are a long time coming for the 14-year-old social network, which has allowed users to broadcast whether they're single or in a relationship since it first went live in February 2004. The move will likely transform Facebook, with its more than 2.2 billion monthly active users, into a major competitor of Match Group, which owns and operates mobile dating app Tinder and popular dating platform OkCupid. Match Group stock plummeted by more than 17% as soon as the news was announced. This is going to be for building real long-term relationship, not just for hookups, Zuckerberg joked on stage. So look for that soon on your Facebook mobile app, new dating features that will apparently rival Tinder, but unlike Tinder, it is focused on long-term relationships. So that's coming your way. Next piece of news I saw this week, Spotify hits 75 million paid subscribers as it releases its first earnings. Spotify just released its first earnings report as a public company, and it contains an updated look at how many people are using the music service. In all, Spotify has 170 million monthly active users, 75 million of which are paid subscribers, and the average price is about $10. So easy to do the math there. That's $750 million a month. That latter total is up from the 71 million marker where Spotify ended Q4. By contrast, Apple Music recently crossed 40 million subscribers. So Spotify is absolutely destroying Apple Music, rightfully so. I find the Spotify platform just much more organized, much easier to use, and of course it's a lot more universal because it's available on everything, not just Apple platforms. And just so you guys know what these services are, Spotify and Apple Music are ways to stream music directly to your phone. It's basically like a Netflix service for music. And Spotify has millions and millions, same with Apple Music, but actually Spotify have millions and millions of songs that you can access at any time. You can download them directly to your phone so you're not using your data. You can create custom playlists. You can even create shared playlists. For example, I recently found out that I'm going to be DJing one of the proms here in St. John. And so what I did was I created a Spotify playlist for that event, and then I invited all the kids that were planning on going to that prom to add whatever music they wanted to hear at the dance to that Spotify playlist. So you can kind of coordinate with your friends and kind of make a playlist tuned to your liking. And so it's doing very, very well, and I'm happy to see that because it is a great service, and I highly recommend it to everybody. They do offer a free service, which has ads. But then if you pay, like I say, about $10 a month Canadian, then you have access to unlimited streaming with no ads whatsoever. So look that up, Spotify. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? I got a message from my good friend Jen, and up until just a couple days ago, I didn't know what I was going to talk about as the main topic on this week's episode. And she gave me a suggestion, and she said, I was wondering on a future episode if you could cover the direction cable companies and Android boxes such as Teledroid are going. Is there any Android box you prefer? I'm currently subscribed to a cable company mainly because of its convenience, but I'm leaning towards going in another direction and how it works for live streaming sports. Could you maybe provide a little bit more background for someone who is just starting to do research on it? And outside of Bell and Rogers, is there another option in our area that you would suggest for internet services? So this is a great question coming from my friend Jen, and this is something that I plan to talk about anyway. So just so I give you a little background of what she means here, for those of you who are not familiar, cutting the cord, so to speak, or cutting the cable, so to speak, has been growing in popularity for about the last 4 or 5 years. And what that means is you're using an alternate source besides your cable provider and your live cable TV, your satellite or whatever you used to use, to get media content. And ways you can do that now are through smart TVs, through computers, through your phone. But the one that Jen wanted me to focus on, and the one that I really think is the most important, is through these little boxes that you plug into your TV. They're called Android boxes. And they're probably the easiest and most affordable way to get these services on your TV. And some of these services you probably use already. The easier ones, things like Netflix, things like YouTube, Hulu, Amazon Prime, those are all streaming services that could potentially replace your cable provider. Now, when you watch cable, most of the time that you're watching something, maybe live TV, and as Jen mentioned, sports specifically. But again, I'm going to explain what an Android box is. So basically, it's like a mini computer that plugs into your TV, and it allows you to access these services, allows you to access Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, YouTube, etc., etc. They range anywhere from $40 all the way up to $200 and plus dollars. And the difference between what you get for the price is similar to, the difference in price you pay when you're buying a computer. So the more expensive they are, more likely they are to be faster. They have more memory. They have better processors. Maybe they have better graphics. Maybe they can do 4K video or full high def video. maybe a few more features, but that's what you're going to get as far as what you spend. And I'm going to tell you at the end what I recommend you spend if you're looking to get into this. And the program that these boxes run, besides the ones I had previously mentioned, is a program called Kodi. And what Kodi does is it's a program that allows you to have various add-ons that scour the internet or scrape the internet for different forms of media content. So some of the programs for Kodi focus on live sports. Some of them focus on movies. Some of them focus on TV shows. Pretty much any type of media that you want to find out there on the internet, you can receive through this these Android boxes and through this Kodi software. And they're 100%, as of right now, where I live, they are 100% completely legal. And I know that may be hard to believe for some people because you are literally able to access any movie, any TV show, or any live event at any time, completely on demand at your own convenience. And the reason why right now it's completely legal is because you're not actually downloading anything to your computer. And there are rules right now that say what you can and cannot download as far as copyright content to your computer. But when you're using these devices, you're actually doing something called streaming, meaning that you're watching these pieces of media directly over the internet, and you're streaming them on somebody else's computer, basically. You're not bringing them into your own computer. You're just watching them on somebody else's computer. So as of right now, it is 100% completely legal. Now, for people looking to get into this, there are advantages and there are disadvantages. I'd like to highlight all of those because it's not as easy as, hooking up one of these Android boxes and going through channels as simply as you do on a cable box that you would get from Bell or Rogers. So I'm going to explain some advantages and disadvantages to that. First of all, the advantages is right off the bat, you're going to pay lower costs. There's no monthly fees. So you have that out of the way. It's a one-time fee for the Android box itself. For the little device that you plug into your TV, there's a one-time fee for that. Like I say, it's between $40 and $200, and that's all you pay. Now, of course, you have to pay for the internet. The only way these things work is through your internet service. Now, this is probably something that you're going to have anyway in your home. So I don't know if you want to consider that an extra cost. Normally, people don't get the internet specifically for these devices, but you can you pay for the internet to bring that media, stream that media onto those Android boxes. Second of all, there's no contract, so you're not tied into anything as you will be with a Bell or Rogers type bundle or cable service. And number three is the content choice. Now, the biggest problem when I used to work at Rogers, I worked at Rogers Cable through their phone tech support. Actually, at the beginning, I did billing support. And so I helped people sign up for packages and things like that. This is when I was quite a bit younger. I believe I was 18 at the time when I started doing this. And the biggest complaint I got from customers was that when they wanted to do channel, they had to buy an entire package. And this goes back to one thing that I compared to is back when I was a kid, when we bought CDs, we had to, there'd be like one or two songs on a CD, but we had to buy the entire CD if we wanted that song. Unlike today, where services like Spotify and iTunes, you basically pay for it, you download the songs you want. So the biggest complaint I got from Rogers customers is that if they wanted a specific channel, they had to buy an entire package, which this channel was in. They couldn't just pay for the channels that they wanted to pay for. This is not a problem when you have an Android box, because you basically choose when and how what you want to watch as far as content goes, as far as TV shows, as far as movies go, and as far as sports. So you don't have to pay for all these channels that you're not going to use. You basically just pick what you want to watch and you go from there. And you can watch it on your own time. Everything is on demand, and it's available when you want to watch it. Now, I'm going to give you 6 reasons why you may consider sticking with your cable box. Now, if you're like me, I use both. I have cable in my home right now only because Bell gave me a really good deal as far as having internet service and having cable service as well. So I decided to keep my cable service as well, and I mostly use it for live sports because I find live sports, and this is something that Jen asked for specifically, I do find live sports is much easier to get on a cable box than it is on a streaming Android box. But here are 6 reasons why you may consider not completely cutting your cable and going specifically with an Android box. So number 1 is if you like too many channels. So if you have a huge range of channels that you like to watch on a regular basis, then you may want to think of sticking with a cable service because again, everything is on demand, and if there's certain shows that you like to watch, that's no problem to get those. But if you like to flick through certain channels and watch what they're playing live, then you may want to stick with the cable service. Reason number 2 is if you record a lot of shows on your PVR or DVR. So some people have these crazy schedules on their DVR and their PVR, recording multiple shows, recording 3 shows at a time, recording different seasons, different episodes. If you do that a lot and you're used to it, then again, you may want to stick with your cable service. Again, this is something that you don't have to do with your Android box. You can just pick the show, pick the episode, and it will scour the internet and hopefully find that what you're looking for, and then you can watch it anytime. So with an Android box, you don't really need a PVR or DVR, but if it is something that you're used to doing, you may want to think about it. Reason number 3, and this one's very important. If you watch TV shows on multiple TVs, if you watch TV basically on multiple TVs simultaneously, then you do also want to maybe consider sticking with your cable company. The reason for that is Android boxes use a ton of what they call internet bandwidth. So when you pay for a service, when you pay for your internet service, you pay for a certain amount of speed. And when you're using an Android box, when you're watching Netflix or YouTube, it takes up some of that speed. So if you have 3 TVs in the house going, and you have three Android boxes, they're going to be fighting for that bandwidth. They're going to be fighting for that internet speed. And what could happen is they could slow each other down, or that's not what could happen. That is what will happen, and it will limit the ability to get a constant connection on those TVs. But if you're, the type of household that you're only, you and your significant other, like to watch a show at a time on one TV, or if you like to watch it in the bedroom, then it's not going to be that big of a deal for you. Number 4, you may not want to consider cutting the cable completely if it is cheaper, and this is my reasoning, if it is cheaper just to have the cable as part of your internet package. Now, roughly 5 to 6 years ago, the cable package was actually the most expensive part, and I'm speaking for people here in New Brunswick, here in the Maritimes of Canada. Cable TV was the most expensive part of a home entertainment bundle, meaning your cable, internet, and home phone, cable was the most expensive. Because of these services, because this thing has caught on, internet is now the most expensive thing that you pay for, with internet prices averaging about $100 a month. If you want fast internet, if you want like fiber optic service or Ignite service, as Rogers calls it, then you're going to pay roughly $99 a month just for the internet. Whereas with a bundle, you're looking at bundles that start about $129. So for an extra $30, you get to keep your cable TV, which is huge, and you get the home phone. I know not many people use a home phone nowadays, but at least it'll be there if you need it. I have mine hooked up for emergency purposes just in case. But so if it is cheaper to get it with the bundle, then definitely stick with the bundle. I definitely suggest it because, again, you're going to pay a lot for the internet by itself. Number 5, and this one you really have to be careful of, is if your internet provider has a data limit. And there are still, believe it or not, actually Rogers just changed theirs recently, but Bell has been in this boat for a while. If your internet provider has a limit on how much you can download monthly, then you definitely want to consider sticking with your cable, because when you're streaming this content, when you're playing Netflix all the time, or when you're streaming this content to your Android box, you're using internet continuously. As I mentioned before with the bandwidth, the more you use it, the more data you're using, similar to the way you use data on a cell phone. Some internet providers have data as far as their home internet goes. So be careful with that and make sure you don't exceed your limits by streaming too much content over the internet. And last but not least, if you fear change, probably want to stick with your cable. And the reason I say that is because it's simply not as easy. And I'm not saying it's hard to stream content over the internet through an Android box, but it's not as easy as using a cable box and just flicking through the channels. What you have to do is you have to find an add-on for Kodi that works well for you, one that has a good selection of TV shows and movies, and then you have to learn how to use that. And the thing with this Kodi thing, because there are people fighting it, it is a cat and mouse game, meaning, some days you go on there and it's easy to find the show you want to watch, it's easy to find a movie you want to watch, but other days, there's obviously people who don't want their content on there, and they will fight to have it taken down. And so some days it is hard to find it. So some days it works for you perfectly, and other days you're going to have trouble. So keep that in mind when switching to the service. If you want to give this a try before you buy an Android box, you can easily do that. Go to www.kodi.tv, Kodi.tv. You can actually download the program that runs on these Android boxes. You can download it for free on your computer and use it on your computer, on any laptop, any Apple computer, any desktop computer. You can even download it to any Android phone. So download it to one of those devices first. Google how to use it. Google how to add add-ons and give it a try before you invest in an Android box that runs this program primarily, and then you'll be all ready to use it, and it won't be any trouble for it. Once you learn how to use it, though, it's great, and it's a great way to access content that you wouldn't be able to access with just a regular cable box. And I have many friends around me from other countries, and they have them specifically so that they can get content from their home countries, and that's a great asset to have when you have an Android box as well. So hopefully that helped for you. If you're looking to buy one of these Android boxes and you're wondering where to get them, there are actually stores in around town that sell them. They're not going to be sold in big stores like Best Buy or Walmart, because again, there's some legalities with things like that. They don't want to be associated with that. But places like in St. John, there's Beats and Bytes. Some of the pawn shops will sell them, and they're easy to find. If you're looking for what you should probably pay, or if you want to order online, you can get them on Amazon. Pretty much anywhere online will sell them for a really good price. But if you're wondering how much you should pay for something like this, I would suggest probably around the $80 to $100 mark, because that's probably the good price where you're going to get a good combination of speed and reliability. These other devices that are closer to the $200 mark, they're a little bit of overkill for what most people. I mean, they could probably play video games and do a little bit more. But if you're looking for Android streaming and media streaming, go with something between the $80 to $100 range. If you stick with something closer to the $40 range, you're going to have something that's just incredibly slow, and it's going to be more of a frustration to you than anything else. So that is my thoughts on streaming and streaming content over the internet with an Android box. Hopefully that helps you out, Jen, and anybody else that was considering maybe cutting their cable to go for an internet-only web service and streaming service. So hopefully that helps you out. Before I finish my episode, I'm going to give my Netflix suggestion of the week, and this week it comes from Angela and Sarah, and they both said the exact same thing about it. Actually, they both said that it was weird and interesting. And according to IMDb, did I say what it was? It's Sense8 is what they recommended. Weird and interesting, they said. And according to IMDb, it says that it tells the story of 8 strangers. Each individual is from a different culture and part of the world. In the aftermath of a tragic death, they all experience through what they perceive as dreams or visions. They suddenly find themselves growing mentally and emotionally connected. While trying to figure out how and why this connection happened and what it means, a mysterious man named Jonas tries to help the 8. Meanwhile, another stranger called Whispers attempts to hunt them down, using the same sensate power to gain full access to a sensate's mind, thoughts, and sight after looking into their eyes. Each episode reflects the views of the characters interacting with each other while delving deeper into their backgrounds and what sets them apart and brings them together with the others. So, again, that suggestion came from Angela and Sarah. It's Sense8. It is a Netflix original series. So thank you so much again. I'm going to take a drink of my Culligan water. Thanks again to H2 Joe, Culligan Joe, for sponsoring me on this episode. Again, I am looking for just sponsor local businesses absolutely free for the first few episodes of my podcast. I have one already lined up for next week. But if you have a local business or are in the sales game, please don't hesitate to send me a message, and I will gladly put a quick blurb about you out on my podcast, and hopefully it helps you out, and maybe eventually will help me out as well. Thanks again for tuning in, you guys. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.